and gentlemen, presenting the 235-member Michigan Marching Band. And take the field. Under the direction of Professor Jamie L. Nix, the M Fanfare. Ladies,
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Yusuf Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76 Sports. First of all, please like the stream, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. Give me a second here, guys. I'm going to check the YouTube side to see how I look over there. That looks okay. That looks okay. When you're using StreamYard, when you're looking at yourself in your backstage, StreamYard is sending the broadcast to YouTube. And so if those three radar things show up and you have a very low signal, the reception won't necessarily be good over on YouTube. So that happened to me on Tuesday when I was doing something for my my science channel. So let me take another look over here. Yeah, looks good, looks decent. If you're new, just coming in, please click that like button. And more important than that, Big Discussions 76 Sports is at 990 subscribers. So I need 10 more. I need 10 more to join the 1000 club. So if you're watching this live and you're new, and or if you're watching this on the playback, please hit that subscribe button. We're in striking distance, and that's I credit that to you guys. You get subscribers on YouTube organically. People find you via the algorithm or your discussion topic, and also you gain subscribers when you go over to other people's channels and that other person says go over and subscribe to so and so. So I've gained subscribers multiple ways. Buckeye Alex says 9 more. All right. Well, I'm not gonna spend the entire time looking at the number and agonizing over it, but I'll probably remind you guys throughout. Yeah, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I started a half hour later. This day job, man. The day job, man. It just, especially when you're working remotely, the day job, it just extracts your energy, and it just, your work duties, they just pull everything out of your soul. And so I expected to finish up my day job around 4:30, and I had to finish something else up, and I had to keep putting this live stream back. So that's why I'm going late. So we're going to go for about an hour. I see Buckeye Alex here. So he since I've been streaming and since he's been coming over, he's had a lot to say about this particular topic. So I'll throw the link in the chat at some point and let him get his 2 cents in there. So I took a little short hiatus over the last week, and I mentioned this on my science channel, and I mentioned this on my entertainment and media channel yesterday. By the way, over there tomorrow, me and some other guys were doing a review of the Justice League Snyder Cut. So if any of you guys are interested in that, there are 4 Big Discussions 76 channels. This is just one, and I'm using a House of Brands approach. So there's an original channel where I discuss general topics. This is the sports channel. I have a science and technology channel, and I have an entertainment and media channel, which over there I talk about movies and books and stuff like that. TV shows like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But tomorrow we're going to do a little something on the Snyder Cut. So if you're interested in that, please go over there. The other thing I'm going to show you guys before I jump in, because I know my brother, shout out to my brother Amal. Some viewers get annoyed when the content creator doesn't jump right into what they said they're going to talk about. But I have to show this because my science channel got taken down just briefly last week. And, once that, it's very sobering when that happens. And, once your channel gets taken down, fortunately, it got put back up. But you realize that if people don't know where to find you and don't know how to contact you otherwise, you're gone. So this is my credential slide. There's a Big Words blog site Facebook page. No, there's a Big Words blog site. That's my blogging site. That email address right there, BigDiscuss76, that Big Words Are Powerful. That's an email address I set up just for this. And there's a Big Words blog site Facebook page. I know James Lepic follows me over there. We're friends now over on Facebook. If you're on Twitter, that's my Twitter handle. Big Words Are Powerful. And that is my Instagram handle as well. And I'm always looking for more. I'm looking for more followers across the board to grow my presence. And I've only scratched the surface of how to best use Instagram. So I'm going to take a look here at the comments. I haven't seen Abdul Gaines thus far. He must not know that I'm going. Alex, if you can, remind Abdul Gaines that there's a party going on. Of course, Abdul Gaines is watching the NFL draft. And yesterday, speaking of which, I was getting alerts and updates all night about the NFL draft. So speaking of the NFL draft, we'll use that as our jumping off point, as they say in the writing world. As you guys know, I'm a writer. Let me pull up my NFL picture here. The Shield, as Jim Rome calls it. Give me a second. Once again, if you're new coming in, please like the stream. Also, if you're watching on the playback, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I am 10 away from getting to 1,000. By the way, guys, I realized something this week. This is more fun to me now than my day job. My day job pays the bills. As my mentor said, it's the engine that drives everything. But this right now to me is much more fun than my day job. I hope none of my coworkers or supervisors are watching this, but it just is what it is. This is more fun. There he is. There he is. Milton was caught up in a dysfunctional culture in Ann Arbor. All right. So guys, as we know, this will be our jumping off point for today. I'm only going to I'm planning on just going for an hour to maybe 2, because I know Alex probably want to come in and sound off on this. But, we've been talking about Michigan football. We're talking about a lot of Ohio State football here now, because you can't talk about Michigan football without talking about Ohio State, even though Ohio State doesn't consider us their rival anymore. But the destination for all of these players, their intended destination is the NFL, is to get to the National Football League and to play on Sundays. That's the end goal for most of these guys coming through the Big Ten and coming through Michigan and coming through Ohio State. So let's just take a quick look, because we talked about this here on the channel. Let's just take a quick look at how day one of the draft shook out. And I know this is gonna grind Abdul Gaines's gears a little bit, but Andy from the Jaguar podcast actually came over probably about 2 months ago, and we talked about who the Jacksonville Jaguars should and would take with their number 1 pick. And as you guys know, Urban Meyer is now the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I was actually finishing up my workout, a light workout last night at LA Fitness. And just as I was walking out to go back to my car, the Jacksonville Jaguars were making their number one pick. And so it turns out that they went ahead, like a lot of people expected, and they picked Trevor Lawrence from Clemson. So that's going to be their guy. That's who they're betting their money on. And so we'll get to see if Trevor Lawrence is going to shape out to be that franchise quarterback that can get the Jaguars back into a competitive place. So what was also of interest, and what we talked about when Andy from the Jaguar podcast came here, was whether or not the Jaguars would take Justin Fields. And in the Michigan fan base, we know a lot about Justin Fields. And so it turns out that Justin went, let's see, number 2, the Jets took Zach Wilson. Number 3, the 49ers took Trey Lance. Number 4, the Atlanta Falcons took Kyle Pitts. Number 5, the Bengals took Jamar Chase. At number 6, the Dolphins took Jalen Waddell. At number 7, the Detroit Lions took Penny Sewell from Oregon. The Panthers took J.C. Horn. I'm not gonna read past Justin Fields. The Broncos took Pat Surtain II. The Eagles took Devontae Smith from Alabama, and Justin Fields went number 11 to the Chicago Bears. So that was interesting. There were a lot of people who were upset that he didn't go number 1, and a lot of people felt that Justin was getting disrespected by not being in that number 1 conversation consistently with Trevor Lawrence. But he went in the first round, and I think that's good. That's good. So you Justin Fields fans shouldn't lose any sleep over the fact that he went in the first round. You too, Abdul Gaines. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at this because I just thought of something. I mean, obviously with the season we just had, you wouldn't expect any Michigan players to go in the first round. But yep, in the first round. Actually, no. I stand corrected. Kwity Paye. Abdul Gaines made a joke, by the way, calling him Quitter Pay. The nerve of him. But Kwity Paye went to Indianapolis with the 21st pick. And I think that was it for any Michigan players in that first round. I don't know. You guys can let me know in the chat what's been happening today. I've been busy working, so I don't know. But yeah, so I thought that this would serve as a nice jumping off point. Let me acknowledge these two guys. Abdul Gaines, yep, there's his joke, Quitter Pay, and also there's his bro, who I nicknamed Urban Gaines, because they both root for Ohio State now. But Will 58 says going first or 11th is irrelevant. He's still going to be a millionaire. Yep. I wish it were me. Okay, so I thought this would be a nice jumping off point for what I wanted to talk about today. And in terms of quarterbacks being drafted into the NFL, I can't think of, since Jimbo took over in Ann Arbor, I can't think of one Michigan quarterback who's been in the discussion for being a first round NFL draft pick, which is, I've said this 100 times on this channel. with Jim having played the position at Michigan and having played the position pretty well in the NFL, because Jim did have some good years. He had 1 or 2 good years with the Chicago Bears. He had a nice little run under Ted Marchibroda with the Indianapolis Colts. They called him Captain Comeback. He almost led the Colts to the Super Bowl that year. Pittsburgh matched up against Dallas. And that was just before Indianapolis drafted Peyton Manning. And then he became a coach for the Raiders, and then, University of San Diego, all those different things. So it's surprising that, we've talked about the quarterback whisperer thing, but you would have thought that back in 2015 or 2014, because that was around Christmas time, 2014, when he got hired, that he would have at least groomed one quarterback that would have made it into the first round discussion on one of those NFL drafts the last 6 years. But that hasn't happened, and there are reasons for that. One is that he went for the grad transfers, but also, as we've talked about numerous times here, there's a big question mark in terms of the development. And so with that, let's dive in a little bit further. Let me check my reception over on YouTube. Yep, still looks pretty good over there. So Jim, in addition to his transfers, Jim brought in, it's not like he didn't recruit quarterbacks. I mean, he went with Jake Rudock his first year. Give me a second here, guys. The wind's blowing pretty hard here, so hopefully the power doesn't go out and this whole thing doesn't go blank, but the wind's blowing pretty hard here. Yeah, there it is. This picture here is the background for this live stream. It's this picture. I like this picture. This is a picture of Joe warming up on the field with Shea in the background there. And there's Dylan McCaffrey, number 10, and looking over Shea's shoulder there. I believe that's Pep Hamilton. And I think Johnny Olden, I was watching some of his content. Hopefully he and I can team up at some point. I think one of the reasons Pep Hamilton left is the whole having control over the offense. So apparently Jim had a very had a vice grip over the offense, and so that's affected the play calling. But I think it's also caused a number of talented assistants to jump ship. So going back to the quarterbacks, the quarterback development and the quarterback play has also been adversely affected. Going with the grad transfer, I've said this numerous times on this channel. Joe Milton and Dylan probably should have been duking it out for the job. Well, Brandon Peters, Joe Milton, and Dylan McCaffrey probably should have been duking it out for the job when Jim brought Shea in and made him the starter. Of course, Shea, I guess coming out of high school, Shea was really talented. And I guess Jim, when Jim saw that Shea was available, Jim probably started salivating. But we got the one good year, out of Shea. That was the revenge tour year. We know how that ended. And the following year was kind of mediocre. Josh Gaddis came in with his speed and space offense. But I'm saying all this to say that it was a rough ride for a player like Joe Milton. And we know that he had his struggles this year. And Joe entered the transfer portal shortly after Jim's contract, since he signed his extension. And we know that Joe uttered the famous words, "I'm going to come back and hang 52 on Michigan when I transfer." And I will always, I've said this numerous times, I will always have a debt of gratitude to this kid, because it was that video that gained me about 400 to 500 subscribers. So I will always have a debt of gratitude to Joe Milton, and probably to Mike Valenti, who absolutely hates Jim Harbaugh for I think Valenti. Let me find my picture of Mike Valenti. And for me, listening to Mike Valenti disparage our program is like listening to fingernails go across the chalkboard. So I'm not a Mike Valenti fan, but I guess I owe Mike Valenti a debt of gratitude for giving that story legs as well. Where's my picture of you, Mike Valenti? There he is. I think Mike Valenti, I think he's he broadcasts out of East Lansing. I think he's a Michigan State guy. But as I said, this guy is like Paul Feinbaum. He's not a Harbaugh guy. He's one of Jim Harbaugh's harshest critics, though I think some of those are also in the chat right now. And listening to this guy criticize our program is like listening to fingernails go across the chalkboard. But that story vaulted my channel up close to 1,000, so I'll always be grateful. So Joe entered the transfer portal, the Abdul Gaines transfer portal, and an article broke last week. I'm sure some of you guys know this, about where his new home is. So let's take a look at where Joe's new home is. I'm going to read some comments, and then I'll move on a little bit because I usually go eat out for dinner on Fridays, and I'm going to I think I'm going to get some Italian food tonight. I'm in the mood for some shrimp tavolo and some red wine. I work hard. I deserve it. Let's see. Here we go. This is from the URL says USA Today and the Rocky Top Insider. This says Wolverines Wire. So the title reads, Joe Milton transfer destination revealed per report. Super Joe. Super Joe, Super Joe, Super Joe. This is a short one, guys. So Michigan football has seen a number of players transfer out over the years. This offseason has seemingly seen more attrition than usual. Let me close this window here. The Wolverines have lost Zach Charbonnet to UCLA, Christian Turner, and Luigi Villain, who has gone to Wake Forest. I'm not familiar with that kid. I don't know what position he was playing. Adam Shibley has gone over to Notre Dame. Zach Carpenter has gone over to Indiana, as well as Philip P.A. and William Mohan. The most notable transfer has been Joe Milton, the strong-armed quarterback who started the 2020 season for the Wolverines. Despite a solid first performance against Minnesota, the season didn't go as anticipated for the player, who was often compared, usually by Urban Meyer, weirdly enough, to Cam Newton. We never really got to see that strong arm in action, as the Wolverines used an intermediate passing game with Milton in the lineup. He started 5 games for Michigan, but lost his job to Cade McNamara for the final game. He then opted to transfer out of the program. And according to Rocky Top Insider, Milton is Tennessee bound. The Tennessee football program has added another quarterback to their roster, as the NCAA adopted the one-time transfer rule last week. It gave players around the country an opportunity at a fresh start. This is exactly what former Michigan quarterback Joe Milton is looking for in Knoxville. According to multiple sources, the former Wolverine has been admitted to Tennessee for the 2021 summer session and will join the football team once spring practice ends. He has already been getting to know some of his future teammates in Knoxville since he's been around town. The Volunteers were an SEC powerhouse until the mid-aughts. You know, when I read that before, I don't know what that means. I'm not familiar with that. Mid-aughts. I don't know if that's a typo or what. But have since been in rebuild mode. Tennessee is on yet another new head coach, having brought in Josh Heupel, who most recently coached at UCSF. With 2020 being a free year, with Milton having redshirted his first year, he should have 3 years of eligibility remaining. Okay, so that's where Joe's new home is. I'm going to read some of these comments before I go on. Let's see. Quitter pay. Urban Gaines is laughing. Going first or 11th is irrelevant. He's still going to be a millionaire. Quitter pay had nerve to lie on the Rich Eisen show several weeks back, saying that the Wolverines didn't quit against Ohio State. Of course they did, and that's why I changed allegiances. I'm looking at my picture there. By the way, guys, I'm going with the this is the department I was in at the University of Michigan. So I'm representing the Department of Pharmacology today. Wolf 58 says, stats say he'll be broke in 10 years. I don't know who you're talking about there, Alex. Certainly not Justin Fields. Well, maybe he'll buy his mom a house like everybody else. Okay. Alex is laughing. At least he's better than Todd Marinovich. LOL. What's going on, Lavaris M? 80. Ouch. Fair point. Rudock was a grad transfer from Iowa, right? Yep. Wow. Marinovich had a truckload of issues. His dad screwed him up in a big way. Yep. He had a strong arm. Everybody thought he was going to succeed Jay Schrader and be the quarterback of the future for the Raiders. But that turned out to not be the case. By the way, he's jumped. Well, as you could see here with Michigan and Ohio State, he's jumped teams several times. But Abdul Gaines used to be a very, very avid Raiders fan, but not anymore. Quarterback development has gotten harder because of the transfer portal. Players are in a hurry to transfer now if they're not promised a starting spot. Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about the quarterback position is that you can only play one at a time. Has anyone ever noticed that all U of M quarterbacks under Harbaugh regress in their second year with Jim Harbaugh? Fake news. OSU develops quarterbacks and wins the national championships. I really like Mike Valenti. Surprise, surprise. He's with the 97.1, the ticket in Detroit. Fingernails across the chalkboard. I see some new people have come in. If you haven't, please like the stream. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. When I started, I was 10 away from 1,000. Please share as well if you're on social media, aside from YouTube, because YouTube is considered social media as well. I didn't know that when I started YouTubing. I like him. I think he's talking about Valenti. Stop showing off, Doc, with your dinner choices. Hey, you got Buffalo Wild Wings in Buffalo, and you got Bocce's Pizza, the Anchor Bar. You've got Avenue's Pizza, Santora's, Leonardi's. So don't feel bad because I'm going to get some shrimp Diavolo and red wine from an Italian restaurant in Franconia, Springfield, Virginia. What are your thoughts on Deion Sanders going 3-3 with Jackson State for spring football in the SWAC football? What's interesting is that it seems like there's a movement now, and I don't know how significant this will be. It seems like there's a movement to go to HBCUs in terms of NFL players going back to coach, and also some of the bigger time players picking schools to go to. Many of them are choosing HBCUs. It'll be interesting to see if that's a starter job for Deion, or if he legitimately wants to stay there and build up that program to something successful, because he's going to be competing against Ohio State and Alabama and Clemson for those top players. So is it a starter job for him, or is he going to be there for a while? Same thing with Eddie George at Tennessee State. Kareen Henry. Hello, Kareen Henry. How you doing? I'm here to support my cousin who went to Michigan. Yeah, a lot of people went to Michigan. Our football team hasn't been doing well lately, but a lot of heavy hitters have gone to Michigan. Not bad. Not sure about the competition, though. That's awesome, Kareem. Isn't Eddie George a Hall of Fame running back coaching at Tennessee State? Yep, he just went. Terrence Forrest says Joe Milton was not a pocket quarterback. He was a dual threat quarterback. Michigan/Harbaugh runs a pro style system and needed to be in a spread system that would allow him to use his arm and legs. Well, hold on. I know that when Joe came into the program, Jim had a vice grip on the offense and they were doing more of a pro style thing, but aren't they now running more of a spread? And that was the whole speed and space thing. I'm going to do a few more comments, then I'm going to move on. Kareen says, Alex, I'm not a college football fan at all. Will be in and out of this broadcast. I appreciate that, Kareen. Deion is a first-time coach. He needs time to establish his coaching style in his program. Yes, Eddie is the new head coach at Tennessee State. Yes, Eddie George is the new head coach at Tennessee State. Should Eddie George be a Hall of Famer? Loyalty should be fluid. Outside of a few situations, that's Abdul talking about him. He used his being a former Raider fan. Like and subscribe. Yes, please. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Eddie George should be a Hall of Famer. It's free. I think Marshall Faulk is a running back coach for a school. Okay. So this live stream, what inspired this live stream? What inspired this live stream? Was this comment here. Oftentimes we get inspiration as a YouTube content creator. You get inspiration from the individuals in your comment section. And there are a lot of passionate commenters when it comes to Michigan football, Ohio State, and the Big Ten, and Alabama and Clemson. But it was this comment right here that gave me the idea to do this live stream. This comment is from, let me blow this up. I'll bet this person didn't know they'd be the featured commenter for this. This comment says, Milton is terrible. If he transferred to Mount Union, he'd be a backup. And this is under my my Joe Milton video that got me about 400 to 500 new subscribers. So I'm going to read that again. Milton is terrible. If he transferred to Mount Union, he'd be a backup. So what's interesting is that under that video, and that video really hit the algorithm. So a lot of people came over who weren't previously subscribed. But the fan base, similar to as it is with Jimbo, the fan base was pretty much split under that video. A lot of people were like, the Harbaugh coaching staff ruined Milton. A lot of fans were resentful for Milton's comment about coming back and hanging 50. And so the fan base was pretty much split. What I saw and I was pretty consistent about this when that whole thing was going on, in terms of how the COVID shortened season was shaking out. When I saw Cade McNamara starting to play well, in my mind, I automatically thought to myself, okay, what's this going to do to Joe? Because he had waited 2 to 3 years to get his chance to start. He seems to have stole the job or beat out Dylan McCaffrey for the job. And there was so much buzz and there was so much fanfare coming into that season for him. And to not play well and to get replaced basically by this younger guy, I said, okay, this is going to basically probably be a blow to his ego. And if he doesn't know how to handle this, this could go pretty bad. And it just seemed like, and me and Alex went back and forth about this quite a bit. It just seemed like for whatever reason, when McNamara got in there, the team seemed to play differently and the offense seemed to flow that much better under Cade McNamara. And during the Joe struggled against Michigan State. Joe struggled. I think he came right out against Wisconsin and threw 1 or 2 picks. And after that, they yanked him, and he had to sit and watch Cade have some success. They still lost the game. And then against Rutgers, this is the Rutgers game. Joe came out and completed his first couple of passes, but that there was a pass, I think, on the second series that went off the fingertips of Cornelius Johnson. The ball got intercepted by Rutgers, and Joe was never the same after that. And he couldn't move the offense after that. And after that, they yanked him for Cade McNamara. So it was kind of like sometimes when you're going through these things as an athlete, it can snowball if you don't know how to persevere and buckle down and pull yourself out of that hole that you're in. So that was my main concern when I saw that happening. And it turned out, and you could look at the sidelines and you could see Joe kind of holding his helmet, kind of pacing back and forth with that look like, I can't believe this is happening. And, they yanked me for Cade McNamara, and you could see it. Sometimes there's nonverbal contact and you can see what a person is thinking without them actually saying it. So right now I have Joe's stats pulled up from, and that's where this whole question came from, that comment that the person made about Joe not being able to start at Mount Union. This is from Boss. Milton is terrible. If he transferred to Mount Union, he'd be a backup. So I actually pulled Joe's stats at Michigan. So let's take a look at his statistics as tallied on ESPN. And this is significant because if he turns out to be a real gamer, we're, as Michigan fans, if he turns out to be a gamer, we're going to look back and we're going to wonder what if, and we're going to wonder if Josh Heupel can get the best out of him with his physical tools and his talent. We're going to look back and say, why weren't we able, or should I say, why wasn't the Harbaugh coaching staff able to get that out of him? So this can go one of two ways. He could turn into Cam Newton, like Urban Meyer and Matt Leinart predicted he would, or he may just fade off into mediocrity. I have some new comments coming in here. Let's see. Okay. We're talking about Buffalo Pizza here. Leonardi's is no more, Doc. The family retired. Oh, well, you still have Lenova's, Avenues, Just Pizza. You still have your pick of the litter, Abdul. If I was in Buffalo right now, I'd be getting some pizza and wings. I see some new people came in. Please like the stream. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. When I started this stream, I was at 990. It would be so awesome to get to 1,000 here. Lavaris M says, didn't Tom Brady play for Michigan? Yes, he did. I always say Tom Brady's last year at Michigan was my first year in the Department of Pharmacology. I got to see Tom play a few times live. And so, yes, he is a Michigan alum. If you haven't watched it, look up the documentary, The Brady Six. That is a fun documentary. It talks about the 6 quarterbacks drafted ahead of Tom and how everybody basically underestimated Tom starting from high school on up. He's got a killer work ethic. LOL. Mount Union is really good at football. Abdul Gain says, there's some reported interest from Southern University in Marshall Faulk becoming their next head coach. Lavara says, yeah, Southern coach just left. Job is wide open. Wow, I don't agree with that. He was a 4-star quarterback in high school. He's the victim of a bad system and no player development. Okay, so he's talking about Joe Milton. If Milton were coached by Ryan Day or Lincoln Riley, he would have stuck around and been a solid quarterback. Oh, contraire, Moonfrere. Buckeye Alex says that of all the quarterbacks in Florida, Joe Milton was not in the conversation when Herb came looking for quarterbacks. But that's what Buckeye Alex said. So, Joe Milton's stats at Michigan. Okay, so let's take a look at his measurables. 6'5", 243 pounds from Pahokee, Florida. Hey, Buckeye Alex, let me know where Pahokee is. Is that down near, is that in South Florida, Central Florida, or is it up on the Panhandle or somewhere near Jacksonville? I don't know where Pahokee is. But Florida is a football factory. Hey, another cool documentary is The U. Parts 1 and Part 2 of The U. If you haven't watched those. So 6'5", 243 pounds. So for the 2020 season, the fateful 2020 season, Joe threw for 1,077 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. And there's a bit of a breakdown here. So as you can see, in 2018 and 2019, he barely played. That's because Jim decided to go with Shea Patterson. In 2020, there's a little video there of Justin Fields getting drafted by the Bears. Oh, that wind is really picking up. So in 2020, Joe completed 80 passes. He threw 141 for a 56.7% completion percentage. He threw for 1,077 yards for an average of 7.6 yards per completion. That is paltry. There you have 4 TDs, 4 interceptions, and his long was 52 yards. And he had a rating, this is interesting, a rating of 124.6. So let's see where his long was. This is interesting because this doesn't have the Minnesota game listed. And I think his long throw, his one long throw for 56 yards was against Minnesota. In the Minnesota game, if you remember the Minnesota game, we were all thinking, okay, wow, this offense and this quarterback is going to be electric. But it was a little bit deceptive. He came out against Michigan State. Let's take a look at that game. He came out against Sparty, and he struggled. Of course, the defense struggled in that game as well. And I thought that one of the plays of that game was when Joe got us down into the red zone, and Jimbo or Josh Gaddis or when Jimbo or Josh Gaddis called that damn Wildcat play. Someone on that coaching staff loves to run the Wildcat. But I thought that leaving Joe out there and letting Joe try to get the team in the end zone on third down, I think they called 2 back-to-back Wildcat plays. So I thought that leaving Joe out there and letting him try to get the offense into the end zone, I thought that would have been much better for his confidence and for the team, especially with him being able to run the ball and throw the ball. But someone on the sidelines decided to go for 2 straight Wildcat plays. So those are his stats at Michigan. And I jotted some things down here, and then I'm going to, if Alex wants to come up or if someone else wants to come up, I'm going to open it up. But I was, based upon that comment from Boss about Joe not being a starter at Mount Union, I was editing my book project, and I was thinking about all the things that have to come together to be successful in athletics. And I wrote down 5 things here. You could probably add to this list. But as I was, editing in my short stint in athletics, looking back and just looking across the sports world, watching the NFL, watching the NBA, watching college basketball, watching college football. These are just some things that I thought about. So, to be successful in athletics, one thing that helps is talent. Joe had the talent, 6'5", 243 pounds. So he had the talent. Work ethic. I don't know. I didn't hear any stories about Joe not working hard. As a matter of fact, all the stories going into this season were about him being a worker and about him winning the trust of his teammates. So a work ethic definitely helps quite a bit. Here's the big one, which I think most of us have hung at the feet of the coaching staff, and which is the big question mark, is development. To be successful, no matter which sport you're playing. In this instance, we're talking about major Division I college football. The development is critical. So to this day, I'm scratching my head and I'm wondering, for example, with him being in the program for 2 to 3 years, sitting and watching Shea Patterson play, why is it that he was unable to throw a nice mid-range ball, a nice short ball, and why didn't Joe have better touch on the ball? To me, that's coaching, right? Josh Gaddis and even Jimbo, who played himself at Michigan and who played in the NFL, should have been able to take Joe Milton aside in the last 2 to 3 years and say, hey, we're not going to be able to sling the ball down the field on every play. On some plays, you're going to need some touch, and you're going to need to throw out in the flat, and you're going to have to take some of that velocity off of the ball. But somehow everything this year came out like a rocket, like Drew Bledsoe back in his rookie year. I think ESPN had back in, was that 1995, ESPN did a funny New England Patriots commercial where I think from Foxborough, they showed a football shoot out of the stadium and hit a blimp or something because Drew Bledsoe had a very, very strong arm. But development, why wasn't he developed? That's a critical aspect for any athlete, particularly in major Division I college football. And the argument could be made that a major part of that is coaching. Team chemistry. You can be the most talented kid, but how are you and your teammates playing together from a mental standpoint, as Michael Jordan says, but also how are your skills fitting together? I think, in my opinion, I think a player that Joe Milton really, really missed, and I think a player that Joe Milton really, really could have benefited from is this guy. Someone who I think was underutilized in his time in Ann Arbor. Nico Collins. I think Nico Collins, with his ability to go deep and his ability to go up for jump balls, I think he would have been a perfect target for a player like Joe Milton. But Nico, due to the pandemic and the Big Ten being a little skittish about letting the players play, everything being constantly put off, Nico Collins was one of those players who decided to just prepare for the NFL draft. I think that Joe Milton missed him. And with Nico Collins gone, now you have these short wide receivers like Giles Jackson and Mike Sanders still running around, and you have freshmen like Cornelius Johnson running around, and those kinds of things. And I think that Joe would have benefited from having big, experienced targets with sure hands like Nico Collins here, and also Donovan Peoples-Jones here. And you have to wonder that revenge tour team with those weapons on offense like Nico Collins and Donovan Peoples-Jones and Zach Gentry at 6'8", and with a solid running game like the one we had, how does that offense look different with a 6'5", 243-pound quarterback back there who can run himself and who can also sling the ball? Now, again, Joe didn't show a lot of touch this last season, but again, I think, and I sound like a broken record, I think Joe and Dylan should have been given the chance to start as opposed to bringing Shea in the way that Jim brought Shea in. So team chemistry, and then also luck. I think most athletes, I mean, we fans like Abdul Gaines, they really bang, on the players and the coaches, but there honestly is some luck involved. Things, not just the play on the field. Sometimes things have to fall just right for your team in terms of the play on the field. I'm looking at that 2002 Ohio State Jim Tressel team, but also avoiding injuries, avoiding pandemics, all those things factor in to how your playing career will go. So I'm saying all this to say, we may not have seen everything this kid could do in the optimal environment, which is unfortunate for him, and it's unfortunate for us as a fan base. But it is what it is. That's how athletics go. That's how life goes. Athletics are often a microcosm of life. But we may not have seen the best that this kid could do in the optimal conditions. So going back to the name of this live stream, is Joe Milton that bad a quarterback? Responding to Boss's comment, I don't think so. And I'll be keeping an eye on him and seeing if he wins the job in Knoxville, and if he actually turns out to be a gamer. But based upon what we were able to see of him in Ann Arbor, I don't think he's that bad a quarterback. I think he needs a fresh start, and I think that our coaching staff may have underutilized him, and this was a tough season for him in terms of the turnover and the attrition, and especially the loss of skill position players like Nico Collins. So That's what I wanted to say. Alex, you still out there? If you're still out there, I'll put the link in the chat. And I'll put the link in the chat if anyone else wants to come up. In the meantime, I will read through some of your comments. I think I saw a Buffalo Bills fan in there. If you're new to the stream, if you're new here, please like the stream. Also, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you want to throw something in the tip jar, that information is below this live stream. Let me go back. Let's see. So I'll start here with Wolf 58. If Milton were coached by Ryan Day or Lincoln Riley, he would have stuck around and been a solid quarterback. Buckeye Alex says possibly. Yes, Buckeye Alex wasn't sold on the Joe Milton stock. Joe can throw a 5-yard slant, though. But that's probably coachable. Which is why I don't understand after 2 to 3 years why they had not taught that to him. Oh, he's here. What's going on, Alex?
How you doing? How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday.
Yeah, man. What say you on this fun topic?
What say you?
Wolf thinks he didn't have the right coach.
I mean that's possible. I mean it's, I put in the comment he can't throw a 5-yard slant. So I don't know. The thing about players like Joe Milton, and Joe Milton reminds me of anybody who is in the in the Ohio State fan base. He reminds me a lot of Terrell Pryor.
Mm-hmm.
Terrell Pryor was always the best athlete on the field, but not necessarily a quarterback per se. But you put the ball in his hands because he's the best player on the field. He's going to have the ball majority of the time. So I think maybe utilizing him in that regard probably would have been better off for the University of Michigan. So I think the question is, was he a bad quarterback? Yes. But does he have the opportunity to do different things on the field that I don't think Michigan necessarily utilized him to do? Yes, I think both things are true. I think he's a bad quarterback. I don't think he's very good. But I think the things that he probably is good at, they did not highlight. And it might be an offensive thing. It really perplexes me how he won that job. And I know you say he won the trust of his team. A lot of times when you're in that situation, it was, I think even before camp was even over in the spring, the other quarterback, I think McCaffrey, was already trained. He was already sitting out. He was already going to transfer. And It seemed like to me from the outside looking in that they had already chosen Joe Milton to be the next quarterback versus an actual QB battle per se. I didn't see that I didn't feel like there really was one from the reports that I was hearing. And I think a lot of times, you go to school, these are young kids, these are young men, and they're going to trust their coaches because they feel like their coaches know what's best. Obviously, us from the outside looking in and have seen trends over the years and, you kind of see things, the coaches don't do a very good job of developing talent. They don't do a very good job of adjustments. They don't do a very good job of getting these guys ready to play every week. I mean, you said it yourself when McNamara got in the game, and I know we discussed this before, the entire team changed. But for some reason, they went back to Milton. Why? Why did they do that? So to me, those from the top on down, because it's, you have, maybe 15, 20 coaches on the sideline. You have your head coach. They watch film, right? I'm pretty sure they watch film. So from the top down, it is a huge, in my opinion, a huge, like beyond anything you could possibly imagine. They made a huge mistake by trying to put him back in there. I feel like they did him a disservice, because clearly Cade McNamara was the better quarterback. Even if he's not as talented, he was able to do basic things in the offense that Joe Milton was not able to do, which is probably why the team responded to him. And I guarantee you the team responded to him because they see McNamara do that in practice. So I think both things are true. I don't think he's necessarily good, but I think in the right system, like Tim Tebow, right? Tim Tebow, Eric Crouch, people like that, in the right system, they can be extremely productive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my take on that.
Okay. Interesting.
And I don't think Nico Collins would have done him any good, because again, he can't throw a 5-yard slant. He can't throw a hitch route. He's pretty much a deep ball thrower for somebody who's wide open, and he's even overthrowing those guys. So whatever they were doing was just not working for him. It just wasn't working. Like I said before, I don't think he's a natural thrower of the football. I don't at all.
Now, are you saying that touch, it can't be coached? That touch on the ball?
It can be to a certain extent. Some things just come natural to people. Some things don't. But again, you have to have the coach. You have to have the coaching on staff to be able to teach those things, which doesn't look like Michigan. I don't believe that Michigan has that right now. I don't believe in anything that has to do with the quarterback. I do not believe in when it comes to Michigan whatsoever. So, it's very hard for me to fathom somebody like Shea Patterson, who, was probably a top 5 quarterback in the SEC, comes to Michigan and regresses every year. It just, everything that has to do with that program, it just rubs me the wrong way. It really does. Everything they do just seems like it's completely backwards. Like they have no idea what's going on. And that's unfortunate, but that's what I see with the program.
Okay. Now, you were pretty outspoken about this back in November and December, about where Joe rated in the recruiting wars. Mm-hmm. You were very adamant about Herb was not looking for Joe.
He was not.
When he came down to Florida. Okay.
He wasn't. I watched some of his tape.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he played in like a suburb of West Palm Beach. Where he played at, if you go down kind of like West Palm, there are these lakes that are kind of inland. And I think the city that he played at was on one of those lakes.
Okay.
So it's I don't think he played against, a lot of good competition down in that area. Hey, it happens. It happens to a lot of guys, they're super talented in high school. They're bigger, faster than everybody else. They can throw the ball, a country mile. But I don't know necessarily how much development, he got in high school. He's not coming from, he was a 4-star recruit. So, he was, pretty good for his class. I don't remember what his ranking was, but, being a 4-star recruit is being a 4-star recruit. You got to be somewhat talented to be able to do that. But keep in mind, how many guys are, the best player in a class and never make it to the NFL. You have guys like, perfect example, Tate Martel, who number one dual threat in the country, was on QB1, went to Ohio State, had some, had basketball on grass whenever Meyer was there, did some things that last year that he was there. Ryan Day takes over, puts in a new offense. He says, hey, Justin Fields is coming. He's like, well, it's going to take you 2 years to learn this offense because it's so complex. And 3 months later, Tate Martel transfers. He goes to Miami. They try to turn him into a wide receiver or running back. He retires, and now he's coming back, to play football again. So it happens. It really happens. I believe a lot of it is situational. And a lot of it is on the player, but a lot of it's situational as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it can happen to anybody. It's not. I don't think it's a Joe Milton thing. I definitely think it's a fit thing. I think that's part of it. And I believe these guys, they work really, really hard. Some guys just have it, and some guys just don't. That's what it boils down to. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. LeVar says, in your opinion, do you think dual threat quarterbacks are better than pocket passing quarterbacks?
No, I don't.
Okay, you answered that one right there. Wolf says, I think it depends on the quarterback. You said yes, but it depends on the offense. Orlando, right? I think I asked where Pahokee was. Okay, so that's Central Florida. It's by West Palm. He struggled the whole year. Terrence says, I never saw anything resembling a spread offense from Michigan.
Not true. I mean, they were 5 wide. The traditional NFL offense that Jim used to run. He was always, power formations, 12-man personnel, and they weren't doing that. They were, they had packages where they had 3-4 wide receivers, one running back in the backfield, spreading the field out. So go back and watch the film because they were definitely trying to spread people out. The problem is that you can spread people out all day, but if you don't have somebody that can get them the ball on time, if you don't have receivers that can get open, which the receivers didn't get open and Joe couldn't throw them the ball. So, even if the receivers got open, Joe wouldn't have been able to throw it to him anyway. So when they were open, Joe couldn't get him the football. And so it didn't really matter. It was just, the whole offense was just bad last year. It was just really bad.
Mm-hmm. Bruce says, it's only and can only be a question of scheme in our offense if Milton excels under the Tennessee system. Then we'll know how good he could have been.
That's not true. Because that's not true. Go back to that comment, if you don't mind. It's only and can only be a question of scheme in our offense. If Milton excels under the Tennessee system, then we'll know how good he could have been. I don't believe that's true. This is why. I believe Milton was given that job. I don't believe he earned it. I believe that if Milton earned that job, well, one, I don't believe the coaches in Tennessee are any better than the coaches at Michigan because Tennessee's not very good either. They're basically they're like Vanderbilt. They get all these good recruits because they got a ton of money and they always hire crap coaches and they never develop anybody. So I can't remember the last time somebody from Tennessee, went in the first round of the NFL draft. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's probably been a while. I can't remember the last time somebody was. Or I can't remember just all Americans from Tennessee. I know the one running back who just transferred to Oklahoma is really good. I think he might be an All-American, but you got players that are transferring out of there. So, and then you got this guy who's trying to transfer in. So what does that say?
Wolf 58 says, who's actually coaching the QBs? Is it still Jim, or did they actually hire a real quarterbacks coach this year? One of the articles I read said he was going to do it, but I thought I saw afterwards that someone else got hired onto the staff.
Correct. Yeah, he did say he was going to do it, but they did hire somebody else.
LeVar says, I personally think the Buffalo Bills have the best quarterback in Josh Allen in the NFL,
Oh my God.
just below Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
Can you go back to that comment just 1 second, if you don't mind? LeVar must be from Buffalo.
I've never seen LeVar before, so he might be.
Yeah, LeVar must be from Buffalo. I'm going to pick this apart in 30 seconds. If Josh Allen is the best QB in the NFL, if Josh Allen is ever the best QB in the NFL, I will wear Michigan gear for a year straight nonstop.
Okay.
If any expert ever recognizes him as the best quarterback in the NFL, that means he's better than Russell Wilson. He has to be better than, if Deshaun Watson comes back with whatever that situation is, if he comes back, he has to be better than Deshaun Watson. He has to be better than Lamar Jackson. He has to be better than Aaron Rodgers. Oh, yeah. And he has to be better than Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
So if anybody ever recognizes him, you heard it here first. If anybody ever recognizes Josh Allen as the best quarterback in football, I will wear Michigan gear for a year, nonstop.
Well, the Buffalo fan base is expecting Josh to take that next step this year.
I'm sure he will, to his car, to practice, and then from practice to home. He'll
Wow.
take steps, but not those steps.
Okay. Ross says Joe was overthrowing deep balls by 5 or 10 yards, even sometimes, and then coming off the field smiling. I'm glad he's gone.
I did see that.
You did?
I did see that, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I saw some of that in the Sparty game where the DBs got toasted. I mean, he had a couple guys that got a step and overthrew him.
Okay. Wolf says Nico Collins was never in it to win it. His focus was on making it to the next level, not a team guy.
I don't necessarily know if that's true.
I don't know if that's true either.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, you look at the landscape and you make the best decision for yourself at the end of the day.
I mean, all these guys want to go to the league. I mean,
the team is a team, but at the end of the day, you only have one shot of making it to the NFL, and a guy as super talented as Nico Collins is, as underutilized, and as great as that wide receiver room was a couple of years ago at Michigan. It's unfortunate they didn't have QB play to take advantage of it, because they really had some great wide receivers in that room. And also the one guy who went to Texas, I think his last name was Black.
Tariq. Yep.
Tariq Black. Yeah, they had an unbelievable wide receiver room. And listen, you only have one chance. I mean, he could have played towards Achilles, towards ACL, blew out his knee, got a concussion. Anything could have happened. And for a man who has that type of talent in that situation, you're changing your family's life, possibly for generations. So, unfortunately, the team is what it is, but your family will always come before the team. I think in that regard. So I think you made a wise decision.
Yeah, not
to mention I'm sure he's a smart guy. He knew, like I knew, they weren't winning anyway.
No. Well, I think I mentioned it on my list when I mentioned luck. One injury, and especially for a wide receiver, to your Achilles or to something else, or to your ACL or something. Yeah, all that's gone. So staying healthy, is a major part of winning.
Yeah,
I mean, having
depth. Yeah, think about Jalen Smith from Notre Dame. He was when he was coming out. I mean, I remember Ohio State playing those guys, and I was like, man, I said it to myself. I said, can this guy just I don't want him to get hurt, but can he just get off the field? So he was just everywhere. And then he had the terrible injury to his leg, and he was out for 2 years. But In a situation like that, if he would have sat out that bowl game, he probably would have been a top 5 pick. So
Yeah.
Sometimes you take the risk either way. You take the risk of being criticized, or you take the risk of just doing what's best for you. And I always say, if there's money on the table, do what's best for you, because that money is not always going to be there. It's not guaranteed.
Yep. If you're new coming in, please like the stream. And if you're new, please subscribe. I need 10 more to get to 1,000. Yakov says, it seems the longer any quarterback at Michigan is with Harbaugh, the worse they become.
I agree.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's surprising that he hasn't had a Heisman finalist, and he hasn't had a quarterback taken in the first round thus far.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and that would have you would have thought we would have at least had that.
No, and I broke that down because Jim has. You see Andrew Luck.
Yep.
And I think Andrew Luck would have been Andrew Luck with or without him.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only example that you have.
Okay.
That's it.
That's fascinating that you can excel at a position and not be able to teach it.
Well, I think
because he was a Heisman finalist when he I know it was 40 years ago,
right. But just because you play a position doesn't necessarily mean you know how to coach it. Right?
Yeah.
Just because you're a basketball mind on the basketball court doesn't necessarily mean it converts you into a good GM. I mean, we've seen tons of players try to coach and they fault due to the fact that they expect the other players to do the same things that they could do when they were playing, and it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Well, we all know Abdul Gaines likes to beat up on Michael Jordan for being a bad owner.
I mean, there are tons of bad owners. So he's no different.
Yakov 22 says, many were enamored by Milton's impressive physique. That has little to do with the QB's passing abilities and nothing about reading a defense. Yep.
Correct.
Tom Brady.
Correct.
Yep. They weren't impressed with his measurables, and he turned out to be a real gamer.
Yeah.
I'm listening. Peace. Abdul Gaines. Here we go. Abdul Gaines says Josh is better than Lamar.
No, he's not.
Josh is approaching.
One guy has an MVP, the other one doesn't. I'm sorry to cut you off. One guy has an MVP, the other one does not. End the conversation. The conversation's over.
But he has 2 more sentences. He's not the best QB in the NFL. He's the best in the AFC East. Wolf says, I stand by my opinion on Nico Collins. Abdul Gaines says, Giles Jackson is now at Washington, another wide receiver that left the program.
Scary, man.
It's very interesting. LeVar says, Abdul Gaines, don't say Josh Allen is better than Lamar Jackson. Officer Faulkner is in the room, LOL. Yeah, Officer Faulkner lives in Baltimore, so.
Yeah.
Lamar, I think, is what he's going to be. That doesn't mean he can't win at a high level. I just think he's shown what he's going to be.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that Josh Allen is better. Right? So let's keep that in perspective. Like Lamar Jackson can be better at what he does than Josh Allen can be better at what he does, which means it will be a better quarterback. So, and I think a lot of it comes down to when you're in the NFL, a lot of it comes down to organization, how the organization is ran, the pieces they put around you. And for one, we've had this conversation off topic. I believe that Josh Allen, he's had one good year, right? Just one. I mean, he's progressed, but he's had one really good year. Let's see what happens the year after that, and then the year after that, and then the year after that, and see what the organization does to put pieces around him, because right now he doesn't have those things. He's out there basically by himself. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay. Abdul says MJ is the MJ of bad owners.
Oh boy.
LeVar says
he is too legit to quit, man.
he's doesn't take it easy on Mike.
No.
Mike Dolan, the New York Knicks, is worse than Michael Jordan of the Charlotte Hornets.
Worse than Dan Gilbert? I don't know about that. And I'm an Ohio guy, but I cannot stand Dan Gilbert.
Wolf said the best coaches are usually the guys who held the clipboards, watching and learning as the game happens. Abdul Gaines says Rich Gannon has an MVP, Alex. That doesn't mean much.
Yeah, MVP actually means you're the best player in the league, so it does mean a lot. Me and him will talk about that later. I'll have to explain to him what an actual MVP means. And Josh Allen doesn't have one. Lamar Jackson does.
Abdul says Josh is the better passer by far. Josh,
but he's not the better
QB.
quarterback. He's not the better quarterback. Doesn't matter. He's not the better quarterback.
Herb is agreeing with Wolf, and Lavaris says somewhere right now Mike Dolan doesn't even know he owns an NBA team. So he must be related to James Dolan.
Probably. That doesn't surprise me.
Good example of a great coach. Miami,
yes.
Eric Spoelstra.
Yes, Eric Spoelstra is a great coach. He started as I think like a video game coach. I mean, he started from the bottom and worked his way up.
Yep.
Him and what's the other guy? He used to coach. He coached New York and then he coached in Memphis. What is his name?
Not Van Gundy.
No. Black guy with glasses. He's from Louisiana.
Is it Gentry?
No, not Gentry. He's light skinned. He has lighter skin. He wears glasses. They both came up together. They were both on Miami staff.
Is he coaching for Memphis right now?
No. He used to. He used to coach. I think he coached at Memphis and he coached at in New York. We're both terrible organizations. That's gonna. What is his name? Abdul. What is his name? I know Abdul probably knows. He's on ESPN. He does ESPN work all the time.
Is it Josh Pastner?
No, Josh Pastner is a coach at Memphis.
Oh, that's Memphis Tigers.
Yeah, Memphis Tigers. He used to coach the Memphis Grizzlies.
Former Memphis Grizzlies basketball coach.
Yeah,
coaches.
It's his name. I can see him bald headed, but he has hair now. But he was bald at the time, and he wears glasses. And he was on the mic. He was him and Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra was the head coach. He was the assistant coach, and then he left to go to Memphis. And that was just a dumpster fire. And then he went to
so it could be JB Bickerstaff.
Nope.
David Fizdale.
Yep.
Okay.
David Fizdale, yeah. Both of those guys started at the bottom and worked their way up. Both of those guys. So I do agree in some respects to that previous comment. Like those are the best guys who really start at the bottom and work their way up. Those guys really take the opportunity to know the players, know the game, know the ins and outs of everything, know the ins and outs of the organization, how things work. Mm-hmm. That's in football or basketball or whatever sport. Those guys are, you don't find them very often. So,
okay. All right. Well, that's pretty much, we shifted gears a little bit here.
Yeah.
But I think that's pretty much the gist of what I wanted to say. Do you have any other comments, Alex?
Yeah, I'm curious. Do you think Joe's will he have the opportunity to start this year?
Well, it sounds like they've already got quarterbacks there, so he's going to have to win the job.
Tennessee, they're not very good, so neither is he. But in my opinion, But I'm just curious what your take on that is. Do you think he'll have the opportunity to start?
I mean, just with his measurables, I don't see why not.
Okay.
And I don't know. I know Heupel played at. Was he an Oklahoma guy?
I think so.
I think he was. Yeah. So it's gonna come down to he's got those physical abilities, but can that coaching staff get him to play the position in a meaningful way in the hardest conference or the most difficult conference in
That's
the
arguable,
country?
but we can have that argument for a different.
You know, I was thinking, okay, should I have said that? So then what is the most competitive conference?
In my opinion, it's the Big Ten.
The Big Ten. All right. You hear that, Abdul?
In my opinion, it's the Big Ten. I don't even think it's close. I do think Alabama is so top heavy, though. They are so top heavy. But in the Big Ten, we don't have Vanderbilts, we don't have Tennessees, we don't have Missouris, we don't have Arkansas. Those teams, they're just not very good pretty much every year. Florida is up and down. Georgia's always pretty solid. LSU has completely fallen off a cliff. And Ole Miss is, they're trying to make some noise, but I think last year was just an outlier. But I think in a typical year, if you take Wisconsin, Penn State, Iowa, Ohio State, and Michigan, when they're not playing Ohio State, I think you take those teams, you match them up against the SEC. Outside of Alabama, I think we pretty much hold our own against everybody else. There was one thing I did want to touch on.
Go ahead.
That you mentioned when it comes to coaching. This has come up a bunch of times, and not to bring up Ohio State, but it was brought up that could it possibly be due to coaching and development and not being able to understand how to utilize players that you have on the field. Justin Fields was at Georgia. And Georgia, in my opinion, is just as talented as Alabama, but has been missing a quarterback for years. For years, they have not got this right. Georgia is ridiculously a talented football team. They are really good. It baffles me that they had Justin Fields, did not start him because, Justin Fields was by far the better player. I think everybody on the team knows that. The guys did not want him to transfer. And when he got on the field, they gave him some, crazy running packages and all types of stuff that he really doesn't do. Justin Fields is a pocket quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He's a pocket quarterback first before anything else. He's not a dual threat. He's a pocket guy. He sits in there, reads the defense, and he picks you apart. He did it. He did it to Clemson twice, even though they lost the first game. We had Ohio State had some players hurt in the Alabama game, and a lot of players missing due to COVID. But the tape is there. So when you know how to use a guy, and you know how to coach him up, and you know how to develop him, when he goes from Georgia, where he's doing it like Lamar Jackson impression, you put him in an Ohio State offense that has NFL concepts, but it's typically a spread offense where you have to read, react, get the football out fast, or wait for a play to develop downfield. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 reads, what have you. The difference between him being at Georgia and him being at Ohio State is night and day. If Joe Milton went to a situation where it's been proven that quarterbacks can flourish in a system like that to be put around him, then I would believe that he's making a good choice. But when's the last time Tennessee has ever had a quarterback drafted? Besides Peyton Manning. Before Peyton Manning, when's the last time Tennessee's had a quarterback that's been drafted?
Before him,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Been forever and a day.
Yeah. I know the only one that came after him was T. Martin.
Oh yeah. But I think he wasn't a first round. I think it was maybe third or fourth. But T. Martin was pretty solid. But
got taken before Brady.
Yeah. Smart. But he's going from one bad situation that's unstable to another bad situation that's unstable. So in theory, I'm going to assume that if both situations are unstable, he's probably going to have the same result. I hope not. I hope that he gets, develops and whatnot. But I think it's going to be one of those Tate Martel situations where he transfers and, thinks he's going to hang 50 on whoever. I don't know why he'd ever think that in his brain. But, I think he's going to be humbled, especially by not, I don't think he's going to play. I think we've pretty much just seen the last of him. I don't think he's going to play. I hope not, but that's my assessment on that. That's what I think.
Okay. Well, there's Alex's prediction on Super Joe. So, by the way, I think I covered this in the video, but Joe Milton, in that picture, he's doing the Superman thing. He got that from Colin Kaepernick. I wondered where he got that from, but it was from Colin, who also did this thing.
Oh, don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, don't do it.
Who was, coincidentally, another Jim Harbaugh quarterback. Colin.
It baffles me how previously he's been able to put quarterbacks in positions to be successful, but it's like when he gets to Michigan, it's like his brain just stopped working. It's weird. It's the weirdest thing. It's like, I don't know. It's like trying to put a car together with like wet sand. Like it just none of it. I don't know. Just none of it makes any sense. Like it just looks bad all the time. It never looks any good.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Terrence has an answer for us. Heath Schuler was drafted by Washington in 1995, the last UT quarterback drafted before Manning. I remember that.
I like him. But there hasn't been one after that, right?
So it's Heath Schuler, Peyton, and then T. Martin.
Right. But I mean, like first round. Like I'll say the first 2 rounds.
Before Heath Schuler?
No, after Peyton Manning.
After Peyton Manning, no.
Yeah, and that's kind of my point. Like Tennessee isn't really known for anything in regards to football. If anything, they're known for the great Pat Summitt.
Right. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. So good luck, Joe. You're gonna need it.
All right. Thank you for your service, Joe, and thank you for what you did for my channel. Hey, man, you got anything else?
No. I mean, I'm curious about your spring game. I'm gonna call it the spring game in the dark because nobody's seen it.
Rebuilding year, man. Rebuilding year.
Are you gonna play the commercial for us real quick?
I don't have it handy. It was in my Twitter account.
Yeah. But I'm curious about that. I really want to see K. McNamara get the opportunity to start because I really liked what he did when he came on the field. I really did. He throws in with anticipation. He gets the ball out quick. He reads and reacts very, very well. I was really impressed. I mean, I think he's only like 6'1" or 6 foot, but the guy can throw it. I was very, very impressed. I mean, he's nothing spectacular, but he's not going to lose you a game. I'll tell you that. If you lose a game, it won't be because of him. He's going to do exactly. He's going to run the offense the way it was designed to run. He will not lose you a game. I don't know if he necessarily has the talent of what's the guy, the 5-star that
JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I don't know if he has the arm talent of McCarthy, but He's not gonna lose you a game, and he's solid. I know in that Wisconsin game, they almost messed around and came back and won that game.
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting because now, he has to hold off McCarthy, and, does McCarthy get impatient and, if he's not playing? And so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he has experience. He has a lot of game experience. He knows the offense. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. But I was very, very impressed and happy at the same time because I'm like, this kid's the backup. These guys have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea. He would have if I was Harbaugh, he would have been starting from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like, oh, like the Cam Newton comparisons still tickle me inside. When I need to laugh, I go back and I watch that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt Leinart and Herb made those comparisons.
I think Urban did it on purpose because he's spiteful like that.
Let's see. So Wolf says Heath Schuler, T. Martin, and Casey Clausen.
Casey Clausen. That's you know what? I forgot about him.
Me too.
I forgot about Casey Clausen.
Remember David Cutcliffe? Cutcliffe was QB/OCA at UT in the 90s.
Yeah.
The Wolf said, I actually met Pat Summitt in 2007 during the women's tournament in Dayton. She was one of the nicest people I met.
Loved Pat Summitt. Loved Pat Summitt. Absolutely love Pat Summitt. So she was one of the great ones. Men or women, she was one of the great ones. Great human being, great person, great coach. Just incredible. So, But yeah, I to kind of transition back to what I was saying. I really hope he gets the opportunity to start. And I know McNamara has experience. I'm sure the 5-star is going to push him, but I think he's earned it. No offense, but I think he's earned the opportunity to start.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's definitely earned it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
All right, I'm going to read this last one. Our buddy had to get his last jab in there. I'm glad I switched sides when I did.
It took me forever to convince him to switch sides. I mean, it's common sense, but it still took him forever to get there.
Ross says, I always took the Cam Newton comparisons to just be his size. Yeah. That happens in sports.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to run out.
All right.
Thanks, Alex.
No problem. I'm going to hop off. You have a good night.
You too. All right, everyone. That's going to conclude this live stream. Thank you to those of you who watched it live. If you're watching on the playback, please like the stream. And also, if you're new, if the algorithm has drawn you in, please hit that subscribe button. I don't think the subscriber count went up, but I need 10 more to get Big Discussions 76 Sports to 1,000 subs. So it's in reach. On my entertainment and media channel tomorrow, some other guys are going to come over, and we're going to talk about the Justice League Snyder Cut. So I have some friends who are independent film producers, and we're going to talk about the Snyder Cut, what we liked about it, and why Warner Brothers and DC should have released this in the first place versus that other piece of trash that they released. Yeah, thank you for watching. Please like this stream. Please share it, and please subscribe to my channel, and go blue. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.